there's one thing all the tech geniuses of our world have in common, is that they started early. With this video, I'm going to help you jumpstart your coding career with my 5 best tips on how to start programming in high school. Let's get started. When you're first starting out, it can be hard to pinpoint exactly where to start and which language to learn. You've probably been searching for those top 5 best programming languages for beginners, but there isn't always one top 5 list that can fit everyone's needs. So my best advice for you would be to explore and see what sparks your interest and figure out how to learn that. That way you'll actually be motivated to learn about the things instead of sitting through boring tutorials about a language you don't even care about. There are beginner lessons for almost any subject in coding. If you're really stuck on ideas, here are some great places to get started. Learn how to make games with Unity. If you want to start creating websites, learn HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. For those who want to learn artificial intelligence, start with Python and Keras and soon into TensorFlow. And if you're really interested in AI, I'll link to my other video about creating a Jeopardy AI, which gives a good explanation on some concepts in that field. To build mobile apps, I'd recommend using Flutter or Swift as your baseline starting point. The truth is, once you learn one programming language, learning another one will be much easier. Most of them are pretty similar. This one goes hand in hand with the last tip, but for my tip number 2, I'd recommend using project-based learning because it'll give you faster and more satisfying results when you're learning programming. While following a tutorial series is great, you're going to learn the fastest by picking your project for your skill level and actually creating it. You'll encounter roadblocks on your path, but failure is what's going to teach you the most. Once you finish that project, you'll be able to see the results of how much you've learned and actually be able to show that to other people. Making projects, however, does not mean completely rejecting online tutorials, but I encourage you to add bits and pieces to your project as you learn new things through those series. For tip number 3, I'd say learning competitive programming is a great way to also get started. This one's for those of you who enjoy a bit of competition and work best under a time crunch. In programming competitions, you're generally given a series of coding questions that you solve within a given time frame. By far the best resource for doing that for high schoolers is the USA Computing Olympiad, also known as USACO, where high schoolers from around the world compete in these competitions to move from bronze to silver to gold and platinum. As a bonus, colleges will also highly value your rank in USACO if you can achieve one of those higher ranks. Another website I'd recommend that has more frequent competitions is Codeforces. Both websites are extremely beginner friendly, and I'll link to some good training resources to get started in competitive programming. As a disclaimer though, competitive programming is not for everyone. Some people just work better when they don't have a looming countdown clock that just adds stress to an already stressful competition. My advice would be to try it out for 1 or 2 competitions and see how much you'd like it. Learning coding alone can be super daunting and difficult, so an easy way to help relieve that pressure and have fun while learning is to start or join a coding club. Finding a group of like-minded people who are learning and already know how to code will motivate you to continue learning yourself. These clubs often recruit guest speakers who actually work in industry and host their own hackathons. You can even find people and build a team for your next app or game idea. Now before I give you guys the last and probably most important tip for learning how to code, consider subscribing to the channel. At Automato, I hope to make videos like these where people can get an entryway into computer science to jumpstart their careers. Now let's get back into the next and most important tip for learning how to code in high school. While you're learning how to code, I want you to make Google your best friend, and I really mean it. As you're building those projects, you're going to come across an error that you've never heard before, or try to find a way to add some feature. The art of finding the best way to solve those problems is a highly valuable skill that you'll develop and one that will help you in any new project that you might want to build. Besides using Google, I like using sites like Stack Overflow or Reddit that give the best answers when I'm looking for them. These places are generally very beginner friendly, and if you don't see your question asked, don't be afraid to ask yourself. The second part of learning how to Google is reading the documentation. This is a place where the people who created the language or library you're using will describe every single aspect of how to use it. If you learn how to effectively Google, you're going to be well on your way of creating and learning quicker than any tutorial series will get you. Finally, as a bonus tip for those of you actually serious about coding, I've made a Discord server for us to congregate. This will be an online community where you can get help for any problems that you have, whatever projects you want to build, and overall more tips on how you can get into programming. I'll have a link in the description or in the card. Anyways guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.